talking about the Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah.
The legends themselves. The masters of Shaolin. Oh, God.
Shaolin style.
I'll let you try my Wu-Tang style.
I'll let you try it.
What a group.
I know. How do we get into it? How do we start? First,
I feel like because there's just so many people and there's so many things branching off of Wu-Tang.
Yeah.
I feel like the way to do it is to kind of focus on RZA.
Yeah.
And to like branch off and talk about the other things as they come up.
Yeah.
Because RZA's really, if y'all don't know, RZA's the leader. Like RZA's the one that made it happen.
He's the nucleus of them all. I like I think what makes them so intriguing too is the name. And I feel like, touching on RZA and the name, like where does that come from? Why would they choose some Asian sounding name when they're from Staten Island? Why would they do it?
They just love music, and they love kung fu.
Karate.
Some would say they fucks with the foo.
They fucks with the foo.
You know?
Yeah. Which is really interesting because they love these underground karate movies. And like here in New York, before Fox was Fox, it was NYW or something like that. And they showed all these like old programs before the corporations took over. So those flicks would come on Channel 5 all the time. And then they also were showing in Times Square all the time. So these young kids love these movies. So this is why Wu-Tang becomes part of their culture, why Asian Kung Fu style becomes part of their culture. Because I do want to make a note and say that socially, Asian people weren't mixed in with people of color's neighborhood per se, as opposed, other than having shops in our neighborhood, like our kids weren't hanging out together as much. But culturally, Asian culture was very influential. It was nothing to see people like the Wu-Tang Clan because years before, you had movies like The Last Dragon.
Right.
These kids in the 80s used to walk around with one part of a Chinese karate, a kung fu uniform, either the top or the bottom with a wife beater. Like they had nunchucks, they had the hats, and it was just regular black kids from the neighborhood or Hispanic kids. So the Asian culture did assimilate into hip hop urban culture very early before actual Asians themselves, which is interesting.
Yeah, that is really funny. That is interesting. But okay, so let's bring it back to Robert Diggs.
Yes.
AKA Prince Rakeem. AKA the RZA. He was born in Brooklyn, right?
Yes, to a cousin named Jizza. No, I'm just kidding.
His cousin was his father. No. So he was born in Brooklyn, and he got into a lot of trouble and shit as a kid.
Yeah.
So his mom was like, "I'm gonna send you away to live with your uncle in South Carolina." Was it North or South Carolina? South Carolina. Because apparently his uncle had like 500 acres of land.
Yes.
Which is fucking ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
We were talking in the Johnny Cash podcast. They had like 20 acres of land, and we're like, that's a lot.
Yeah.
First of all, I was curious about this. I'm like, they never who was his uncle that just had all this fucking land?
You know what? A lot of these artists that come from the ghetto, they don't want to say who they're connected to and who actually put them on in the game because you have to be connected. You're not just rapping in the streets. You're not.
Yeah.
Okay, some of our illest rappers are very well connected in the music industry or some type of industry. Okay?
Right. Well, so I guess that'll just remain a mystery to us for now.
Yes. They were broken from the hood and they scraped their way out.
Yeah.
Let's stay with that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
sells more records.
But that experience was very formative for him because I guess his uncle just like got him into like reading and like shit that he wasn't doing before, I guess.
Exactly. He was a little waterhead boy causing trouble.
Yeah. So he was there for like 3 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And just like kind of changed his I guess his perspective on things a little bit or whatever. So he goes back to New York, and then now they're in Staten Island, right?
Now they're in Staten Island. The Jizza has already kind of gotten a little bit of something because he had a record out before them.
Right. Well, so RZA had two cousins
Uh-huh.
they were both in Brooklyn also, right?
Yes.
So Gary Grice, a.k.a. Jizza, a.k.a. The Genius.
The Genius. That was his first stage name. He had a song called Girl, Come Do Me.
Yeah. But that shit is so corny. When you go back and look at that old shit, it's crazy what the labels were having them do. But we'll get into that. And then their other cousin, Russell Jones, a.k.a. The old dirty bastard. Because there's no father to his style. And so they were cousins, and they kind of were introduced to hip hop together. Like they went to like a show or something in like the South Bronx, and they first saw like DJing and rapping, and they were like, "Oh shit, this is crazy. Yeah, I'm into this." Yeah. Right. Yeah. So RZA became basically the house producer for his neighborhood in Staten Island. Right. Like everybody knew that he was the guy. Like, and another thing, so he was, meeting up with all these rappers that were living in the projects, and he was not living in the projects. They had a house where he had like 10 siblings, right? Which is crazy. Yeah, it's a fucking lot of people.
That is a lot.
And because he was in a house, they had a basement where he was basically able to set up a studio.
Right. He was the one that went out. From what I know, the Genius came and brought back saying that, okay, we can do something with music. We can make something of ourselves. And then RZA took it upon himself to actually buy the equipment to make the beats and everything. And he did. He had the house, he had the space. So he started making the beats, and then he knew enough people to rap.
Yeah, I just feel like if you're that guy that's making all those beats, and everybody in the neighborhood knows you, like the rappers are going to gravitate towards you. So the next thing you know, like he knows rappers from these projects, he knows rappers from these projects that don't necessarily know each other, or they do know each other and they don't like each other at all.
And they don't like each other, right.
Right. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But, so they're all friends and everything, but RZA wasn't originally, the idea of the Wu-Tang Clan was not like that.
No. There
was a lot of other shit that happened first for RZA to be like, okay, we're doing our own thing. Specifically dealing with the industry. Yeah. Which is bullshit. Some things never change. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like what we were talking, like, so Jizza was the first one under the name The Genius to have a record out in the mainstream labels or whatever.
Yeah, he was the first one to have the record deal because he was not connected at all to anybody.
well, we gotta say, we'll talk obviously more about like lyrical styles and shit, but his, there's a reason they call him the Genius. Yeah. I mean, there's so much intelligence in their all of their lyrics, but especially him, like the way that he puts shit together. It's like, this dude is a fucking wordsmith. Yeah. You know what I mean? So people are gonna pick that up.
And he had a good delivery. He just had a really great style.
Yeah, absolutely.
And everybody did know him, when that song came out, from what I've heard, that it didn't do terribly. Not Prince Rakeem, The Genius.
Right.
Like The Girl Come Do Me. Everybody actually liked it. It actually had a little buzz. He wasn't whack.
It's just still so funny to me because you look, if you go back and you listen to that track now, it's clearly not really him. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's true. Clearly he was in the label system, and at this point, like, this is late 80s, right? Yeah. So Def Jam had already came out. Def Jam already kind of revolutionized shit. And all these other labels were kind of trying to be like Def Jam, right? They're like, oh, well, this will probably sell, and this will probably sell. And the whole thing is like, you're already fucking up if you're just trying to do it based on what's going to sell. Because then the music is not the main thing.
I think it's Tommy Boy. I think he was on Tommy Boy, which was actually an okay hip-hop label. But yeah, you're right. It's like they did a lot of hit and miss on Tommy Boy. Yeah. A lot.
Well, I don't remember if Jizza was on Tommy Boy. I think RZA was
on Tommy Boy.
Yeah. Well, okay. So he wasn't even the RZA yet.
Right. No.
So he, at this time, his stage name was Prince Rakeem. Yes. Right. So.
We love you, Rakeem.
So bad. It's so corny. So he didn't even get an album. He only really got a single, right? And it was, how did it go?
We love you, Rakeem.
Yeah. And it's like the whole thing that the labels were trying to push at that time was not like street shit. Right. It was like, ooh, yeah, like you're going to be a ladies' man and the girls are going to love you and you're going to sell like this. And he's just kind of like, oh, yeah, like record labels are into me. Like, this is crazy. Like, I want to do this. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, of course, he's going to listen to them, and he's going to put out this video and this song that they want him to do.
Yeah.
And it's so just not him.
It's not. It doesn't work. He tries, and it doesn't work.
It just doesn't. Because it comes back to what we always talk about in this podcast. Like, authenticity is what always wins out in the long run as an artist. Mm-hmm. And for both of them, for the Genius and Prince Rakeem at the time, neither of these things were like what they really had in their fucking heart to do.
Right, exactly.
So they basically got chewed up and spit out by the fucking industry.
Yeah.
Like already, like young, right? Because did Jizzy get dropped from the label or he left?
I have no idea what really happened with that. I have no idea. Even still to this day, I don't know.
Because I know that RZA got dropped.
Yes, because he wasn't producing anything. Well, I mean, he wasn't selling, so nothing he was making was producing. I don't know exactly what happened with Genius. I feel like the Genius just jumped on another project. I don't think the Genius was dropped. So
yeah, whatever it was, he came to an end at that path, right? And then
I was kind of sad, only because I like the name Genius better than the Jizza.
Yeah,
and I just think it's a good hip hop name, and I think it suits him really well because of his demeanor.
Right.
You know, he's not all up in your face trying to prove that he's smart. Yeah. You know, you find out that he's smart. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, you know, they form like Voltron and he's the head.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard. The Wu-Tang clan, that is. So, so RZA, Jizza, they get chewed up and spit out by the industry, basically. And this is the thing that I really love. I mean, we're already getting into the dopeness of Wu-Tang, but like, I mean, how many people, and I'm just saying this like hypothetically, like how many people have been in that position in the record industry where they get signed, they put out one album or one single and they get dropped, and then that's it. That's their whole music career, and then they just go be a fucking accountant for the rest of their life.
I dated a guy like that. He's not happy.
No. And how many people, like, in the world, like, way more people have done that than have had a successful music career.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
But these two, specifically RZA, really had the vision. Mm-hmm. He was kind of like, this is not the end for me.
Good for him.
You know what I'm saying? He's just like, I see how the industry works, and I'm not trying to do that shit at all.
Yeah.
Like RZA was a very visionary person, right?
Yeah.
He was like the Steve Jobs of hip hop.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to segue into that and be like, this is what you love about America. The only thing that made RZA think that way was being an American, really. You know what I mean? It's like, no. There's too many people before me that did it on their own and carved their own way out. Like, if I want it, I'm definitely going to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to make this shit happen, and I'm going to do it my way, right?
Yep.
I did it my way.
Shout out to the Tri-State.
So, but before we even get into that, so something else happens with him that he gets into an altercation.
Correct.
With somebody in the neighborhood, and he shoots a motherfucker.
Yeah.
And what happens when you shoot people is you usually get put on trial. Mm-hmm. And somehow he got off.
Yeah.
Somehow
he got off because he's not connected at all. We want to remember he's not connected. He doesn't know anyone. It's just some poor kid from the hood that made it.
So, long story short, he gets a not guilty verdict.
Okay.
And his mom comes up to him, and she's just like, "This is your second chance. You don't fucking blow this, right?" And at this point, Prince Rakeem had deceased.
Yes.
And from the ashes rose.
Yes.
The RZA.
The RZA.
And Robert was like, "You know what? She's right. I'm not in jail. This is like my second chance. Like, I got to really do this shit as much as I possibly can."
Yes.
So now he's really starting to see the vision because he's already been in the industry. He's seen what that is. They spit him out. He's like, I know what this shit already is. I know how people do it. I don't want to do it like that. Right? So he already was the neighborhood guy, right?
Yes.
All the rappers in the neighborhood already knew him. He already knew all these people. He just kind of like sitting there like with these beats, like chilling with his friends. And he's just kind of like, yo, like, we're all dope. Like, we're all fucking awesome. Like, this is the thing. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, we don't have to do that.
No.
Like, what we got here, this is something different.
Yeah.
And this is something, the Wu got something that people want to hear.